Your mission, should you choose to accept it. Learn about unreliable narrators and find them where they hide. Unreliable is made of three word parts: un, rely, and able. The prefix un means not. The root word rely means to depend on or trust. The suffix able means capable of or able to. If you put it all together, it means not trustable narrator. If there is a story told, there is always a storyteller. In fiction, the word narrator is just a fancy word for storyteller. But in a story, who is the storyteller? If the story is Tom Sawyer, the storyteller is Mark Twain. If the story is Pinocchio, the storyteller is Carlo Collodi. However, writers of stories can be very sneaky. For example, let's take a recent novel, The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, published in 2013. Who is our storyteller? Robert Galbraith? The About the Author page says, Robert Galbraith spent several years with the Royal Military Police before being attached to the SIB, Special Investigative Branch, the plainclothes branch of the RMP. He left the military in 2003. He has been working since then in the civilian security industry. Robert Galbraith is a pseudonym. So we know our storyteller wants his anonymity, and we know a few relevant facts about his life. Or do we? Who is our gritty former military investigator, Robert Galbraith? Well, it turns out that Robert Galbraith is none other than J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling? The unemployed single mom who wrote Harry Potter? Yep, Robert Galbraith has his name on the outside of the book. But he is just another character created by J.K. Rowling. In this case, he's the character created who tells the story named The Cuckoo's Calling. So we have to realize that the writer of the story and the storyteller, the voice we hear when we read, can in a sense be two very different people. The character Robert Galbraith may be very different from J.K. Rowling, just like Harry Potter and The One Who Must Not Be Named were very different people from J.K. Rowling. So if the storyteller can be a character, then what kind of characters can tell a story? J.K. Rowling could have Harry Potter tell a story. Carlo Collodi could have had Pinocchio tell a story. Mark Twain could have had one of his characters from Tom Sawyer tell a story. As it turns out, Mark Twain did have one of his characters from Tom Sawyer tell a story. About 8 years after Tom Sawyer was published, Mark Twain wrote a sequel, Huckleberry Finn, and the character telling the story was Tom Sawyer's friend, Huckleberry Finn. So what are some of these people and the characters like who are telling these stories? Let's look at the opening paragraph of Huckleberry Finn. Huckleberry Finn is telling this story to us. You don't know about me without you have read a book by the name of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, but that ain't no matter. That book was made by Mr. Mark Twain, and he told the truth, mainly. There was things which he stretched, but mainly he told the truth. That is nothing. I never seen anybody but lied one time or another, without it was Aunt Polly, or the widow, or maybe Mary. Aunt Polly, Tom's Aunt Polly she is, and Mary, and the widow Douglas is all told about in that book, which is mostly a true book, with some stretchers, as I said before. Okay, now wait just a second. Huck is telling us that Twain told some stretchers in Tom Sawyer. Well, stretchers is just a really polite way of saying lies. And Huck is telling us that Tom Sawyer is a mostly true book, when we know that Tom Sawyer is a complete work of fiction. That means that Huck isn't exactly telling the reader the truth. The only inescapable conclusion is that these stories are being narrated by Pinocchios. The next time you encounter a work with a narrator telling you something, keep your thinking cap on. Don't take everything at face value. The narrator may be completely trustworthy, but remember, writers are sneaky. Every now and then, they slip one in who can't be trusted about absolutely every single thing that they say. But know this, if you're paying attention, the writer will have left the clues so you can tell when the narrator's reliability is on shaky ground. Most of the time, even unreliable narrators will tell you the truth. But if you're paying attention, you can usually tell which things the narrator says that can be trusted and which get the Pinocchio prize. Here are some key elements to keep in mind about narrators, especially unreliable narrators. The writer is not the narrator. The narrator is a made-up character just like any other character. The writer could be a man writing as a female character. The writer could be a woman writing as a male narrator. The writer could be honest, writing as a lying narrator. An unreliable narrator is one who tells the reader things that are not true. The unreliable narrator may or may not know that he or she is not telling the truth. One last thing. I need to talk to two groups of people. First, if you're a young student like me and you're not sure you're really down with all this narrator stuff, trust me. I'm in high school. I'm a student just like you who had to make this video for a school project, and you can trust me what I'm telling you here. If you get this, it will help you with your classes. Now, for those of you who prefer a more authoritative source for your instruction, rest assured that after 4 decades of instruction at institutions of higher education, I can vouchsafe the reliability and significant import of the material contained within this video. Remember, pay attention to the narrator.